There you go. So the stream info's all being updated now. Let me bring up the chat again, and then we'll bring up HLTV. Want to buy my 5900X for 1200? God fucking no, I don't want to do that. Let's have a look. Where is the old Dev1ce? There he is. I'm LEM in CS, but fuck that game. Right, Timleth, I want to hear your opinion on this actually. What do you think about the whole Dev1ce to NiP? What's your favourite anime? Very important question. I don't have one. I've watched too many anime, mate. I've watched way too many anime to have an opinion like that. Yeah, definitely. I would have said unexpected. I mean, it was obvious. If you hear the whispers around the scene, it was obvious someone from Astralis was going, and there may even, from what people have been saying, there may even be more changes to Astralis, right? There are rumors about, well, there's always going to be a rumor about Esotag coming back to the Astralis roster. Whether or not that's true or not, we'll just have to wait and see. To be honest with you, if he does, if Esotag does go back, then I think they have a chance to actually be a decent roster at that point. But I don't see what other Danish players they could get that will fill in a gap like that. The answer is they don't. There is none. But I don't know what else they do, really. It's a weird one. It's a really weird one. Astralis are in just such a weird point at the moment. Glaive's been playing pretty rough recently. I kind of expected more of a coaching staff change. Yeah, no, well, that's true. There were talks about Zonic was potentially, because obviously Zonic's a family man and whatnot. So there were talks about him going to another place. Every player is a downgrade for Dev1ce. At the end of the day, Dev1ce is a contender for the GOAT, right? The greatest of all time Counter-Strike player, in a way. Maybe, well, at least in CSGO. We won't go as far as to say in, like, RPK levels of Source or the fucking, the Na'Vi levels of 1.6, right? But he's definitely the greatest of all time player of CSGO. I mean, look at it. How many years has he been in the top 20? He's been in the top 20 every year since 2014. And almost every single year he was in the top fucking 3. It's absolutely mental. You will never get a player with that level of consistency. And although Nork wasn't playing terribly, he wasn't really consistent in his play. Up until about a month ago, he was actually playing quite poorly, and he was having quite rough runs. So I can understand why. Well, to be fair, I don't even think they would have replaced him. I think they would have replaced ZTR if Dev1ce didn't just come to them and say, "Look, I want to join your team." Astralis should go international, open up the market for them. They will never go international. They will never go international. If they do, I'd be extremely surprised. Astralis as an organisation, yeah. No, I don't think they would go international, to be honest with you. Liquid fucking sucks. Most inconsistent team ever. Now, I'm a little bit biased because I was there in Cologne. Let me bring up my Facebook on the other screen. I was there in Cologne when they won the Grand Slam, and I went to a few of the lands which they won, and they were absolutely fucking mental. Liquid was probably my favourite team to watch for quite a while. Let me have a see. There you go. There's a picture from where we were standing. And then obviously Stewie was over here when he jumped up. Was he over here? I thought he was over... No, he was over here, wasn't he? Yeah, he was up here when he jumped up. He jumped up on that fucking table, just egging people on. I was like, that's my boy right there. And everyone wanna... wasn't that 2 years ago? Yeah, this was Cologne 2019. This is the event that won them the Intel Grand Slam. Now, Liquid could be an ace team at the moment. Their problem is, I think they're a little bit ignorant with their map pool. The reason why I say that is because Train as a map, I find it really weird that they permaban Train. I feel like Train would be a fucking fantastic map for them, and now they have Fallen, arguably one of the best Train AWPers that has ever played Counter-Strike Global Offensive, right? Fallen's an absolute monster. He has that amazing movement on that map. When you lose to the Boomer squad of Dignitas 2-0, something is wrong. In fairness, though, Dignitas are looking really good right now. Dignitas are looking great at the moment. They are looking very, very good. When it comes down to it, I think if we look at the roster for Dignitas, right? Let's have a quick look. So we have, I mean, you have Mr. Consistent, the man himself, the man with the greatest beard known to, the greatest beard alive, Forrest, he's bordering on like, well, I'd say he's bordering on like Dev1ce levels of consistency, but not in the same way. Dev1ce is showing like top 5 player in the world consistency, whereas Forrest shows like, you know, maybe top 50 player consistency, something like that. Oh no, Liquid definitely should have won that. Like, no one's denying that they should have won. But to be honest with you, players like, well, Halzerk's pretty good. I don't think he's played that well, to be honest. Yeah, if you have a look at his rating. Let's have a look at how he played in these last few matches. So he's been a pretty middle of the table player at the moment. Well, they got fucking absolutely annihilated by the Americans there, so that's whatever. I suppose, actually, to be fair, Halzerk's been having a pretty good run of form recently, so you can't argue with that. Yeah, but this is the thing. I'm so surprised that so many teams have slept on Lekro. Now, obviously, he was in-game leading for NiP, and his numbers weren't fantastic. But they're still good enough. Like, his numbers are good enough, and he can pull some rounds just out fucking nowhere. And his strat book seems pretty strong, to be honest with you. Obviously, he's not IGL of this team. Freiburg is, or at least as far as I'm aware, Freiburg is still the IGL. Yeah, no, Lekro's a pretty fire player, to be honest with you. I mean, if we think about when he was back in Fnatic, he got cucked out of that team. How he gets cut for twists is fucking mental to me, to be honest. Yeah, well, Lekro's been a pretty strong role player for a long time, and I think that's kind of why people have slept on him a little. He has had quite streaky form though. I will give it that. Obviously, everyone remembers when he was back on Godsent and he had those absolutely mental Deagle plays and whatnot, and then he kind of teetered off and was a little bit quiet when he went to Fnatic. He got cut. Did he go to NiP? Or have I got it the wrong way around? Did he go to NiP or did he go to what was it called? North. Yeah, he did go to NiP. That's right. So he went to NiP for quite a long time actually, and then he went to North. I mean, when he was on North, to be fair, I mean, it's whatever, isn't it? It's North. North died pretty much fucking immediately. Not really much to talk about there, is there? Yeah, man. Dev1ce to NiP. What an absolute mad lad. Whoever is on North, you're forgotten. Yeah, that is true. North is like North became the Danish team that Danish team you go to die, right? For your career to just fall over. Haven't really watched CS recently. So many roster changes as well. Yeah, what roster changes? Well, I don't know if anybody else watched it earlier, but I was watching Big versus Extra Salt. If you don't know who Extra Salt are, they are the former Cloud9 roster. Let me have a read. Price when you delete EIC, fuck off Troyster. Yeah, exactly. The former Bravado core, and then they went to ATK, and then they went to what do you call it, Cloud9. Now, I preferred their roster when they were on Cloud9, although I will admit I'm a bit biased there, just because for those of you that don't know, Mr. MOTM, that is Alexander from NW. He used to lead a reg in NA called the Fifth, and he was in my reg, the 18E, for like fucking hell, like 4 or 5 years. So I was a little bit biased to them on that one, to be honest with you. Hello, Noki. Yeah. Well, you think about it, Thomas in Endpoint is not a lot of people know this, but this is 17E Thomas. Do you remember from Posh's reg back in the day? Tim left. Yeah, there are more people from NW playing professional Counter-Strike than you'd expect. I mean, one of the boys was on fucking Cloud9 of all teams, right? Yeah, that's Thomas from the old 17E, from Posh's 17E back in like 2013, 2014. I think it was the first English player to make it to FPL as well. So Thomas did pretty well for himself, to be honest with you. Yeah. Then, like I said, MOTM was Alexander from my reg. What the fuck? Why am I still on NW? Yeah, I know, right? We could be getting paid like 10 grand to play in NA for fucking Cloud9, right? Jesus. I sub, no pop-up. You need to... Kennedy, you need to refresh. If you refresh, it will come up in the chat box to announce that you've subbed. Because it's not come through on the on my Streamlabs yet, so... I also quit NW for 3 years. There you go, Kennedy. Thank you for the sub, buddy. Thank you for the resub for 2 months. It's been tossed away. Yeah, I don't know. I tune into Ian's streams all the times. I haven't really asked just because it's not my place to ask. Well, the fuck cares what I ask, right? Yeah, I kind of agree. When it came to Cloud9, his performances weren't great. But what I will say is, when it comes to, if we talk about this person here, Floppy. Now, Floppy is a sick player. No one can argue that Floppy is a great fucking player, right? But he's not a star. And this guy has been... He played in something like 8 seasons of fucking Advanced and Premier before he actually got picked up by a team. He's been around for a while, and he's been pretty... He's been pretty, like, middle of the board. Like, if we were to say, like, out of the NAMDL teams, if we're going to talk about the star players that you'd think of back when Floppy was on Cloud9 with the boys... I don't know, man. He's... When you put someone in such a role such as being a carry, right? Like, as your star carry player, you're expecting them to consistently be in the top 2, top 3 on the board, right? But Floppy wasn't really that sort of player. He takes... he would take the shit positions on some maps and stuff like that as well, which your carry players shouldn't really do. That's something that you'd expect, like, JT, the in-game leader, to do. And I think that kind of impacted on how Ian played as well. But as soon as Ian went to High Coast, like, look at these results. He was playing fucking monster for the whole time he played for High Coast over these last couple of months. Like, look at these stats he was having. Like, sure, he has a couple of .9s and a couple of shitty maps here, but like every guy has a shit map here and there. But you know, those shit maps that he has, like the team as a general team tend to get blown out. Like this .67 rating, they only got 2 rounds. That's not down to one person. That's down to a whole team, right? Like and he was, look, that's .67 and he was the best on the team, you know. Ian is a very, very solid player, but I don't think he's had the roles which he kind of needs in a sense, and that's kind of why I think it's been hard for him to get picked up by the better teams. Well, I will say he's a pretty fire player though. Yes, Midnight, we're still talking, at least for now. Yeah, NA, what you've got, Bad News Bears, High Coast are pretty good. Is really quiet in NA right now. Can we go to regional rankings? Here we go. Americas, United States. So the top 4 are. Oh yeah, EG aren't on here. EG aren't on here right now because they made 2 roster changes. Any more ex-NW players that are CSGO pros? I mean, there are a lot of us that are semi-pros. I mean, you and me could be considered a fucking semi-pro, Tim Lev. I mean, you've got Exotic Fail that's on a team in the 99 Damage League and stuff like that. There are a lot of like semi-professional players, but maybe not so much pros in a sense. None that have been like to a pro league match, for example, or something like that. I wish Art would get picked up by an EU team. I don't know about that one, and the reason why I would say I don't really agree with Art getting picked up by an EU team. I mean, it would definitely be a fire signing if he did, but his playstyle and the way he leads his teams, that's a lot of adapting, right? Think about how many years Fury has played and been pretty, you know, pretty middle of the board, middle of the table sort of team. It took them a long time to get to where they are now. And I think if you give him an EU team, there's a completely different playstyle. I think it would take a long time of adjustment to really get into that. What do you think about Dev1ce leaving Astralis? Yeah, no. It'd been pretty. It'd been known for a while that someone was going to be leaving Astralis. Everyone expected it was going to be Zipnix or Glaive was going to be the first one to do it. Glaive obviously has a kid on the way at the moment, so he's going to want to take time off. Zipnix has been pretty shit for a while, to be honest with you. He's not been that great, and obviously he had all that burnout and whatnot, so it is what it is. But I think, I think it's a fire signing, to be honest, Dev1ce going to NiP. We talked about it earlier, Midnight, but it's a really fire signing, and it makes sense because Dev1ce lives in Stockholm. So when he approached NiP, I think it kind of makes sense, to be honest. Brazilians are very aggressive, if I'm correct about that statement. To be honest with you, none of the other Brazilian teams really play like that. Furious playstyle is Furious playstyle. There are no other teams that really play like that. I think that's more Furious other players' fault and less his leading capabilities. I'm not saying like the other players on Fury are bad or anything like that. I just meant like when they first started out and he was first adopting that playstyle, it took a lot of because it goes against anything that you would have learnt in Counter-Strike before, right? Think about how Astralis played in 2018 during their dominant era. Think about how fucking how Gambit plays right now. What do? They starve you with map information over 70% of the map, and then they stop. They cut noise and they chill. Gambit's fucking mental at the moment, man. They cut that noise and they get you guessing right? And then as you're trying to take back that map control, let's say you're playing Dust 2, they take the B tunnels and mid control away from you. So you try getting information towards long, and then they re-aggress on you long and take all that information away and kills from you. They are mental at the moment. They're reading the game incredibly, and that is a lot of preparation. But saying that though, Hobbit put out a statement. I'll have to see if I can find it in a minute. Hobbit put out a statement after their win against NiP for Pro League, I think it was. After their win, they said, "Thank God we won because NiP have beat us in every scrim we've done." So NiP apparently are looking pretty good at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm really excited to see what Dev1ce does with that roster. We've never seen him on another roster. He's been with that core since the first major in 2015. Boys, we're in for a fucking wild ride this next year, I can tell you. Yeah, I was watching NiP versus Big for a best of 5 grand final for the Funspark ulti tournament earlier. NiP started with 1 map advantage, then they won Dust 2, the first map. And then, yeah, look at how close it was. 16-13, 16-14, 16-14. That was mental. Although, that 16-14 for Dust 2, if you ever get a chance to go look at the highlights for this match, it was 15-4, and they almost took it to overtime. Big always plays close. Yeah, so this is something I actually wanted to talk about. So when it comes to Big, my problem with Big at the moment is not so much like the like their strat book or anything like that. Because you know Tabson's been in IGL for a decent time now. My problem with Big is this fellow here, Mr. Searson Florian, Mr. Florian Riche. I don't know how to say that. You will know as Zero Night. Now you might think, well, he was pretty fire last year. Like, why is it so? Why would I say that my problem would be with him? He's way too inconsistent right now. He has a tendency to completely go missing on T sides. Now, Big have always had. As a German, it's hard for me to not be rooting for Big. Yeah, no, of course. To be fair, like I'm a big fan. I have a big jersey in the cupboard back there. Yeah, but like Big have always been a team that's been really CT side oriented, especially when God B was on the team as well. It was even worse back then, I'd say, to be honest with you. But the problem is if you have a team that's very CT side oriented, but then you have a potential top 10 player according to last year, he goes he just goes missing. I remember I can't remember what tournament it was. Was it DreamHack Masters or was it the Cologne final with best of 5? They had a Dust 2 match where he got 2 kills on the T side. He went like 2 and 14 or whatever it was. Ended the match getting 24 kills on the CT side. It's like you need someone to go a little bit more. You need some consistency out of it because you can't rely on one side of your map so much. That's my problem with Big at the moment. Now, the reason why they won this, to be honest with you, is because Extra Salt mismanaged their economy really badly. Train, they had multiple save situations where they stuck around too long, lost all their guns, and then had to force buy into the next round. Same thing with Dust 2, although they won Dust 2. I didn't watch all of Overpass. Although I will say, when I tuned into Overpass, it was 14-13, I think it was. 14-13, and for some reason, in a 5v5 from the start of the round, Extra Salt called a 5-man A gamble, and they gave up match point just like that. They just gave up. They literally just gave up the grand final by calling a 5-man A stack on 14-14 with full guns. By the way, we're talking about full rifles across both teams. Like that is so American. That's such an NA call out to do. Like you would never see an EU team call something like that. I'm gonna cry again. It's just the Xantares show, and I watch a lot of the time. Yeah, it is, to be honest. Xantares, he was pretty quiet when he first joined this team, but Xantares has been like straight fire over the last month or so, especially. Fucking hell, config. Oh, results. I'm back to here. Because online, yeah, exactly, Tim left. When he's fucking destroying you with those damn peaks every time. Yeah, he was. We can actually go and have a look at that right now, can't we? He was pretty. I think he was pretty average. On LAN, he was sort of playing how you'd have. He's playing kind of how. Well, on LAN, he was kind of how Keto is right now online. Keto is pretty middle of the pack at the moment. If we go to matches. So this is what his stats look like at the moment, right? Well, can we go here, actually? So he's averaging about a 1.17 rating. Really good impact, actually. That's a very good impact. 1.35 is an amazing impact rating to have. Now, let's change this to LAN. Actually, it was pretty good. But if we do it against, let's see. We'll do it against the top 30. Oh, he's pretty good, actually. See? If you have a look at his numbers, he's pretty run of the mill, pretty average. But I think the reason why his rating gets bumped up is because then he's got matches against like North, for example, where he's just dropping a 2.0 rating out of nowhere. But granted, he hasn't played a LAN match since March of last year. We'll have to just see, really. We'll just have to see. It's the online era. We'll have to find out when everyone gets back to LAN. Will Xantares keep up the form? Who knows? Yeah, that is why. To be honest with you, when you said online performances, I was like, yeah. To be fair, it probably is a lot worse for LAN. But apparently, no, he's played pretty decently, all things considered. What other changes have there been recently? Roster-wise, well, there's MOTM. Yeah, I know. I saw this yesterday. I don't know why he left, to be honest. Who knows? I mean, nobody can answer that except for Ian. By the looks of it, Ian, according to this statement, Ian must have made this decision quite abrupt, and they weren't really expecting it. Our situation is really complicated right now, and I'm scrambling to figure things out before the roster deadline for the next season. So that must have just came out of left field. Something must have happened there, I guess. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we could ask him and find out. Top 1 right now. This is a good point to talk about as well. Personal things, maybe. They're shitting on his... Yeah, it probably would be personal things, I'm guessing. Something along those lines. Maybe they had some sort of plans to go to a LAN house or something like that, and which he couldn't commit to. Who knows? It's hard to say, really. But what is everyone's opinion on... we talked a little bit about Gambit already, but what about Heroic? What do you guys think about Heroic right now? For me, I think they're fucking straight fire. I think the signing of Refresh and Shush is absolutely baller. Yeah, I think they took a pretty big leap getting rid of Borup and Nico. That's it. Borup and Nico. I think Nico has the potential to be a star player. Like, he did show that at times. Last time I really watched Heroic was when they won versus Astralis. Oh, Timleth. Watch the... Go and have a look at the highlights of the match they played against Gambit and Pro League. This was straight fire, man. Straight fire. Did you see the clutch he did to win, Timleth? If you haven't, I'll bring it up right now. Yeah, the Cadian clutch. I'll bring it up now anyway, just because why not?
Right. And then what did he do after that? That's nuts. So he actually shoots the AWP in the back.
Yeah, I saw the one Vu made. Tim left.
The AWP and kills the guy CT.
Yeah. Oh my
I can't believe he knifed him.
Away with the AWP. I'm starting to get nervous. There's no way. There's no way. Cadian, you can't win Pro League like this. You can't win Pro League like this. No way. Exile's left. 40 seconds and the bomb's on A. Take your time, son. You're about to make the play of your career.
2 HP as well. Axel just had to hit one shot. One shot to shut this down.
He's got 30 seconds to think this one through.
He could have sneezed on the fucking guy.
Knife kill? You can't. Cadian. He's thinking about ramp. Jump.
Saw him.
Gets the info. He just has to hit this shot and he's done it for Heroic. The leader. Calling well above his years. Clearing corners. Oh, no! You're an animal! Heroic have done it and I just can't believe.
Yeah, the fucking hell, man. It's a trying to see if I can find the Vu version.
In the back of
Oh, here you go. Here it is. This did make me laugh when I saw it.
Right. And what did he do after that? That's nuts. So he actually shoots the AWP in the back of the head without anyone looking.
That's the AWP and kills the guy CT.
No way!
That does make me laugh, to be fair. But I've actually seen the whole, you know, crowd influence firsthand. When I was at the Cologne 2019 for well, yeah, and then you had the grand final between Vitality and Liquid. I don't know if you guys remember. I'll have a look and see here. ESL Cologne 2019 ZywOo crowd. There's this. ZywOo, I was watching this live. ZywOo had a 1v3 in the final against Liquid. And the crowd won it for him.
For the fact that they lost B last time, RPK goes down, Elise with 2, Nitro steps back out again, and ZywOo to get the bomb back. Again, we said double overtime isn't out of possibility, isn't unbelievably impossible, but it might be with ZywOo finally hitting shots like that as he steps back into the door, and he won't plant. There's no rush. Slow it down as NiP walks out. ZywOo confirms the second map for Vitality. NiP, there's no rush. Like that as he steps back into the door, and he won't plant. There's no rush. Slow it down.
The thing is, though, is you can see he clearly didn't realise what the crowd had done. Someone called it to him because he turned back around. And that is, yeah, man, that's rough. I remember being there, like, seeing it firsthand, and I was like, oh, come on, man. Obviously, I was rooting for Liquid, but the two guys I were there with were rooting for Vitality, so they were like, yes, get fucked. I was like, come on, man. The same happened in the Astralis versus Mousesports match. Yeah, I know. The crowd really does give it away, but unfortunately, there's not a lot you can really do about that. I mean, there's been talks over the years about, let's say, the soundproof booths like you had at the Berlin Major or at the PGL Major, for example, but multiple pros have come out and said, oh yeah, that doesn't really stop it. You can still hear it. It's just not as much. Let's have a look. I'll see if I can find it on the old YouTubes. You say it was Astralis versus Mousesports. Astralis Sports crowd. Oh, I remember this.
Been duking it out. He was actually just checking for the little boost on the spool, so he was not ready for this. What is he? My goodness, how interesting. Zipex through underpass. He's got Glaive in tow as well. And they get the frag.
Yeah, I remember that. I do remember that actually. I want a major. Well, we've got Stockholm coming. Definitely have Stockholm coming. Myself and the boys, we always gather for Cologne. That's a yearly tradition for me now. So I can't wait for that personally. Oh, thanks for tuning in, buddy. I'll catch you later. Thank you very much for sticking in and having a chat with us. Yeah, but all of us guys in the 18E, we like to go to a few events. I only went to DreamHack Rotterdam. I've never been to a DreamHack, but I have been to I've been to Cologne. I went to IM New York as well. Liquid won both of those actually. Because I played the BYOC LAN there. Oh god, I haven't played a LAN. I played I don't remember what it's called anymore. I'll remember it in a minute. Up in Nottinghamshire, in the UK, we have a pretty well-known LAN up there. I played a LAN. Back then, it would have been Source that was getting played. Epic LAN, thank you, Tim Left. Epic LAN. But when I went there, I played COD. I didn't play Counter Strike. I used to play a lot of competitive COD 4. So that would have been me. I didn't do Counter Strike though. Counter Strike came later for me. I grew up. Nice ignore, Core says. I did read your message, Core. I get a lot of people, Core, messaging me asking if we want to, if I'm going to do the World of Tanks stuff. To be honest with you, I don't actually know. I'm not actually sure. Yeah, a lot of people who play COD 4 playing CSGO now. Yeah, definitely. Do you see that there's a company doing the guys who did Pro Mod are actually making a Pro Mod game. There you go. So they're making a full-on game for COD 4 Pro Mod basically. And they've tried to mimic the Quake engine movement as much as they can, really. And all I'm saying, if you make COD 4 multiplayer, but just 2021 version, I'm in. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Sign me up, Scotty. Beam me up. We take those. I would love this. Well, I will love this when it eventually comes out. I just, what I hope is that enough people actually play it. Because the guys who are making this game, they have a habit of making games which not a lot of people play, which isn't necessarily their fault, but, you know, it's, what can you do? If nobody plays it, nobody plays it. Oh, and there he is, Mr. Pro Mod. Yeah, exactly. Battalion, yeah. Battalion had a great idea. But they jumped the gun a little bit, in my opinion. The face it for instead of like a matchmaking system, I thought was a fucking brilliant idea. That's really good because you cut out the problem that Counter Strike has now, where they don't want to implement a 128 tick system, whereas you could have just do what Battalion did with Face It, just have a Face It version, a client that runs in game, and there are a few other games that do that as well. Actually, Rocket League has a version of that as well. World of Tanks even has a fucking version of that. So, I think it's really interesting. So, yeah, man. I'm interested to see what that turns out like, to be honest. I think it could be very, very cool. All I want right now is I think my date for my wrist surgery is fucking hell. Let me just have a look. It's in October. October 12th, I think it was. I have carpal tunnel syndrome with my wrist, which is why I can't play Counter Strike anymore. Hey, thanks for the raid, Mr. Gang12. Thank you very much for the raid. Hope you had a good stream. Yeah, no, I've had I've had problems with my carpal tunnel in my wrist for about 3 or so years now. Me, Ledger, Fluffy, and a few others. We did. We actually played in a few ESEA seasons, but I had some issues with my wrist, but but that bad. Not that bad, luckily. Yeah, it is. It does suck, but like I don't know if you can hear it, but if I like, you can kind of hear my wrist click if I talk at the same time when I twist it, because that's it's the joint between my tendon and my wrist essentially. It's so what they have to do is they cut your wrist open and they put like a metal joint at the end of your tendon, and that relieves the pressure off of it basically. And the only way to fix it without getting the surgery would be to wear a splint when you sleep, which I do actually have. I do have one of those. I don't know where it's gone, but my wrist hasn't been too bad recently. It was really bad a couple of months ago though, but it's one of those issues where it goes and comes back every couple of months or so. So I'd rather just get the surgery done now and just have it resolved, have it fixed. When did you realise you had carpal tunnel? About going on 3 years ago now, I think. What happened was I was having like some strain problems in my wrist. I've been playing a little bit too much, so I spoke to someone who was a physiotherapist, and he gave me a few like different things to do, like hold your arm out, do this, do that 10 times, do it backwards 10 times, do different motions and whatnot, and that'll help loosen your wrist and keep it a little bit more fluid in your movement. I did that. The first day I did that, my wrist cracked and then I couldn't move it anymore. I slept on it, and then the next day, essentially, what happened then is what happens to me now. Is I wake up and my wrist is seized like that and I can't move it, and I have to do this, and then I can move it again. So it's surgery time for me. Surgery time for me. I can still play Counter-Strike and I can still drop 30 fucking kills in level 10 face it, so fuck everyone else, am I right? But it's just not ideal really. I can play Counter-Strike, it's just after an hour or so it's just it just aches really. It's not comfortable, and if you're trying to if you want to try and get better at CS and join a team and whatnot like I was, and trying to rise up through ESEA, how can you do that when you're having all these different problems? So I kind of just gave up on it for the time being, to be honest. The issue is you have to wait until you're a certain age before you can get the surgery, because obviously you're still growing until you're a certain age, right? So I had to wait, unfortunately. Otherwise I would have had it done like a year or so ago. Hey ho, fuck me, right? It is what it is. It is what it is. At the end of the day, it's not like I can do something like I can do something like drop out of work and something like that. Drop out of work and grind CS all day every day like I used to when I was a bit younger. I live in my own flat. I have to pay my bills. I can't afford to not work. So it is what it is. Maybe one day streaming will take off and I never have to work again. I finally got the Rona. Hey, you joined the club. Took you long enough, Core. I had the Rona like a year ago. Let's have a look. I think we've been talking for a couple of hours now. I think we had a little discussion about CS. So I think we'll probably end it now. It's absolutely sweltering in here. I'm very fucking hot. So I'm going to go get changed and shit like that. So I have to focus on school a little bit more than CS with internship. Yeah, I mean, it's nice while it lasts, isn't it, Tim Left? But eventually everyone has to just grow up a little bit. It is what it is. Not a lot you can really do about that. Change on cam. I'm not changing on cam. But anyways, I am gonna have a quick look. I believe Nick's streaming, so we'll raid Mr. Nicholas. Nick, is it Nick underscore shocks, isn't it? We're going to raid Mr. Nick. Stick in if you want. Nick's a pretty nice guy. Me and Core are always tuning into the stream. Stick around if you like. If not, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Yeah? That's for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you all later.